Why hello. So today I'm going to be doing my February wrap-up video, and during the month of February I really didn't have a great reading month. If I'm being completely honest, I just didn't have a good month in general. I'm not going to get too much into it, but basically I had to put my dog down. I had had him since I was 13. I'm now 26. That's half my life. So it was a huge blow, and despite wanting to escape reality and, enter another world and not think about what I was going through, what I'm still going through, I just didn't have the mindset to read. Having said that, there is a little bit of a bright side. We ended up getting a kitten who I am totally in love with. We are in a committed relationship. Her name is Zuzu, and I'll leave a picture right here. And it's been really nice just bonding with her. I truly feel like she senses my vulnerability right now, and she's just loving on me and giving me what I need. So that's really nice. If you check out my Instagram page, I have put tons of pictures up of her. I am definitely becoming a crazy cat lady, no shame whatsoever. So yeah, while I have had a rough month, it's also been a good month in a way. It's just been like lots of change, and it's not necessarily a bad or a good thing. Alright, so without further ado, I'm going to go into the 3 books that I did manage to read this month. The first book is Winter Song by S.J. Jones, and this was my most anticipated book of 2017. I ended up completing the challenge of the Around the World in 52 Books challenge. I can't remember the exact number, but I will leave it right here. And it was to read a book by an author you've never read before. I also did the emoji-a-thon. I was not active on Twitter or during any of the sprints or anything. I wish I had been, but again, I was just so distracted I couldn't really concentrate on it. But this dealt with the challenge that was to read a book that you've been anticipating. This book is a Labyrinth retelling, and if you guys know my channel at all, you know that I adore Labyrinth. I adore David Bowie. I adore just all things having to do with Labyrinth. This book follows a young woman named Liesl, and Liesl is a very gifted musician. However, her younger brother is sort of the star musician of their family, so she hides behind him and she writes music and shares it with him, but he's really the one who shines. She also has a sister named Kath, and one day Kath is taken by none other than the Goblin King, who is this very well-known fictional character that Liesl has grown up hearing about. She believed in him when she was younger, and she even had interactions with him, but now that she's older, she's kind of like in between, thinking maybe that was just my imagination, I need to move on. But he comes to life and he proves her wrong by taking her sister and taking her to the underground, where Kath has to journey to save her sister. So in a lot of ways, it's really similar to Labyrinth. In a lot of ways, it's really not similar to Labyrinth. And I totally went into this book thinking, okay, I'm gonna give it a chance. Even if it's different, I don't want this to be the same as Labyrinth. I wanted it to kind of expand on that storyline and just go deeper than you could go in like a PG movie, if you know what I mean. Which it did, but that was not enough to save this book for me. While the writing was beautiful, there was so much melodrama in this book, and the characters, it was like I was watching a soap opera, and just like not a good one. It was also really slow and really repetitive, and their relationship was so strange and so convoluted, and it would just change. One minute they would be hot and heavy, the next minute they would be like, I hate you. I love reading angsty reads, I really do, but this was ridiculous. However, I did end up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars because the writing was really beautiful. It was, but overall the characters and just the outcome of the plot, and it could have been great. I've never wanted to be an editor of a book more than I've wanted to be for this. But overall, this was pretty disappointing for me. And yeah, I wanted to love it, but I just couldn't. The next book that I picked up in February is Blue Lily, Lily Blue by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the 3rd book in the Raven Cycle series, and for the Round the World in 52 Books challenge, this completed the challenge, which was to read a spooky, eerie book, and this was spooky and eerie, so definitely worked with that. For the emoji-a-thon, I think this was to read a book that was gifted to you, which was gifted to me from my friend Jacob, so that worked for that. I was so excited to pick this up because I love the series so far. I'm really enjoying it. I can't talk too much about it because this is the third book in the series, but what I can say is that while I love the writing and I love being with the characters again, this book was so slow for me. It felt like there was nothing happening, but I still enjoyed it because the characters, I loved just the interactions. They were so wonderful. The way that Maggie Stiefvater writes her characters and their interactions, it's so fun and funny and wonderful that I couldn't fault it too much. But when it comes to the plot, I was like, come on, there's not, you know, I wanted so much more for it. But I still ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. I'm kind of like twiddling between 3.5 and 4. I haven't fully decided, but I think I'm gonna stick with 4 because I can't imagine giving any of these books less than that. The final book that I read in February is Roseblood by A.G. Howard. This took care of the Around the World in 52 Books challenge, which was to read a classic retelling, which it is. This is a retelling inspired by the Phantom of the Opera. But this book follows a young woman named Rune, and Rune has this really crazy special ability where she can sing perfectly. Like when she hears like an aria or a song or a chorus, she can match it perfectly no matter what language it is spoken in. If she doesn't speak the language, it doesn't matter. She can sing that song to perfection. The only thing is, doing this leaves her very drained. It makes her very weak. It makes her sick. So when she is shipped off to a fine arts academy by her mother, she's very concerned about this. She's very concerned about how she's going to keep this strange, dangerous talent hidden. And she doesn't know what she's going to do. Rune doesn't want anything to do with this academy. She wants to leave. She's ready to go back home. That is, of course, until she meets the mysterious Phantom-y character who just entices her and brings her deeper into his world. There is a theme with February reads here, and that is disappointment. Unfortunately, this book was probably the most disappointing read. I don't know. It's between this and Winter Song for me. I love the Phantom of the Opera. I was totally excited about this book, but the fact that it is young adult did put me off a bit. And that's because everything I was fearing that was gonna happen, happened. I'm not bashing young adult. I think it could have been done wonderfully in the young adult genre, but A.G. Howard really just did everything that you would expect in cliche YA. She kind of honestly made it the reason why people are weary of YA, being so melodramatic and being like so cliche and repetitive and cheesy. Yeah, I'm gonna say it again. It was cheesy. It was really cheesy. I will say that A.G. Howard is a really gifted writer. There were many passages that were just really beautiful, but it couldn't save this book for me. It really couldn't, and I ended up giving this book a 2.5 out of 5 stars. So disappointed, so utterly disappointed in this month of books, apart from Blue Lily, Lily Blue, which wasn't that disappointing, but Winter Song and Roseblood were just 2 of my most anticipated books for 2017, and they completely let me down. All right, guys, so I'm not going to be any more of a Debbie Downer. I'm going to go ahead and end this video now. In the comments below, I would love for you guys to let me know if you've read these books, if you like them, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Either way, I would love to know. I would love to talk about them. I would love all of those things. I'd also love to know what your favorite book of February was, because that would be really good to know. Alright guys, so that's all for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next one.